Back here on CBS Sports HQ, here's a look at the first four slate. On Tuesday, St. Francis ranked as the 68th team in the field, taking on Alabama State for the right to face #1 overall seed Auburn. Then it's San Diego State against North Carolina. The Tar Heels, the last team into the field. On Wednesday, American against Mount St. Mary's for the chance to meet Duke in the first round. It's also Texas and Xavier playing in Dayton as the winner will face Illinois. At least one first four team has gone on to win a round of 64 game in 12 of 13 seasons since the first four began in 2011. All right, back here in studio, Hakeem Dermish alongside Matt Norlander, Tim Doyle, Joe Musso. As we start with the matchup that some people are having thoughts and doubts about why they're even into the bracket is North Carolina. So North Carolina against San Diego State. Who wins that game, Matt Norlander?
I'm going San Diego State. I think this team, which has beaten the likes of Houston and Creighton this season, is going to show up, play well. I don't think San Diego State even deserves to be going to Dayton. This is 2 years in a row where we've had a situation like this where a team that shouldn't have been sent there was sent there. It happens, no biggie, but I do like San Diego State to win this game. North Carolina has played well against lesser competition. We all know the deal with the lack of wins in Quad 1. A lot of those were high-end teams, but UNC will have no shortage of appreciation and motivation because I'm sure a lot of people are going to pick against UNC in this spot. I happen to like San Diego State and its defensive profile overall. This is a top 15 defense. Give me the Aztecs to beat the Tar Heels right off the bat on Tuesday.
-3.5 you're laying with North Carolina. What do you do?
You are paying a premium to bet North Carolina. This game should be a pick'em based on their resumes. Nick Boyd is still at San Diego State. They got some long, athletic young guys there. They defend. North Carolina, you play 13 Quad 1 games, you win 1. So, like, you know, I'm a racehorse guy. If a horse continually runs second, like can't get to the winner, I can't bet him. Like if I see horses like second, I can't bet. I've watched this movie with North Carolina. Honestly, they should not be in the dance. That's a different story for a different day. I think this game should be a pick 'em. I'll take the Aztecs.
All right, getting to our next one here. This is sort of the one for the program. If you win St. Francis, Alabama State, you go on to get the top overall seed in the entire tournament. You still want it, no less. We're looking at 3.5 there as well. Alabama State, their first winning season in a decade. Plenty to celebrate here. One last celebration, let's say. Who do you favor in that one, Matt?
Well, I have at CBSSports.com, and on your CBS Sports app, I have ranked every single team in the field, and these are teams 67 and 68. I will take the team I have at 67. That is Alabama State. Tony Madlock has done a wonderful job turning that program around in just year 3. He's done a good job, but I did recently see St. Francis in person. They won the NEC Championship, wrote a big story about their coach, Rob Krimmel, who went there in 1996 as a player, graduated in 2000, immediately transitioned to the coaching staff, has not left since. It's an incredible story. They're going to have so much fun and anticipation. And although this is 16 versus 16, this is important to note. The school that wins this tournament game gets an NCAA tournament unit, so it's actually hundreds of thousands of dollars coming to them down the road. And it does actually mean something, and that's the benefit to the 16s playing on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Here, I'm going to take St. Francis here plus the points because they won 2 conference tournament games on the road.
They did.
Not easy to do. And I love that format because they played in a very hostile environment at Central Connecticut, and they held the home team to 43 points. St. Francis has a freshman that I believe is going to be out of there. Sorry about that. Juan Cranford Jr. is 6'3". He's like 215 pounds. He's left-handed. I think he's outstanding. He plays more like a junior or a senior. I think he's like a high-level talent. I think this is a game that's going to go right down to the wire. Alabama State, their metrics, like they played a lot of Power Fives. They played them relatively competitive. But I'll take the points here. I think this is a game that the points could be the difference.
All right, the other 16 against 16. And that winner moves on to play Duke in the first round. The champion out of the MAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Mount St. Mary's against American, the champion out of the Patriot. We've got a team from Emmitsburg, Maryland against a team from Washington, D.C. So relatively, they know each other. They're going to be playing in Dayton. Matt, you take a look at these two teams. Who would you pick to move on to face Duke?
They're close. They're both 22 and 12. They're actually really close to each other in the metrics. It is a toss-up here. I will go with American. The American Eagles, I feel like tossing on like, you know, a rugged polo. Give me some cargo shorts here. Let's go with some of the American Eagles. I will go with American in this one. And if you're a diehard college hoops fan and you watch the first 4 just like I do, like millions of others do, you know that one of the two 16-on-16 games minimum winds up being pretty dramatic overall. I actually like the potential for this one to be pretty close. I'll go with American.
I cannot touch American. They got pounded by North Carolina and St. Joe's, right?
But good news, they're not playing those teams.
You know, they also got pounded by Siena and pounded by LaSalle. Like, I get it. You know, they have 22 wins. Congratulations. Mount St. Mary's, I watched that game against Iona because my brother is an Iona alum. They scored 7 points the first 13 minutes of the game, but they're really long. Dola Adebayo is a really good athlete. Defensive, this might be a game that's 44-42. So I think it's going to be extremely low scoring. I think Mount St. Mary's could easily win this game. Iona was rolling. Like, Iona does not lose that conference tournament. They were up double digits against St. Mary's and Mount St. Mary's, and they figured out a way. I was actually very impressed in that game. It's the first 6 seed to ever win the MAC tournament. So I'll take Mount St. Mary's here in the points. A lot of dogs. All dogs go to heaven in Dayton.
Maybe take the under 2 there.
Oh, that's going to be, that is going to be
Big under game.
Painful to watch, yes.
Painful to watch, but always feels good to win, Tim Doyle. We love doing it amongst friends as well. We'll give you each and every one of these picks. We got another first 4 to get to here. Texas and Xavier, both teams living on that bubble reality for the better part of month and a half now, Matt Norlander.
Yes.
We're assessing sides. It's 2.5 in favor of Xavier, but when we look at this strictly at surface level, a flat-footed Texas team, some experience at the helm of Xavier. What do you make of this matchup?
Xavier is 43 at Ken Pom. Texas is 44. So from a predictive metric standpoint, this is very even across the board. Ryan Conwell is a baller. We actually have this game has the best potential of any of the 4 in Dayton to be the most entertaining because you have Trey Johnson for Texas, who is, I think, the most talented natural scorer to come into that program as a freshman since a guy named Kevin Durant.
Wow.
He could be a threat to go for 30-plus in this game. Ryan Conwell just dropped 38 in the Garden. I think this is an incredible matchup. Xavier has been the more consistent team. Now, it doesn't have as many high-end wins. You've got Sean Miller going against Rodney Terry. Rodney Terry, by the way, very much on the hot seat. Sources indicating to me that barring a deep tournament run, Texas is anticipating a coaching change there as well. So there's a lot of drama and backdrop to all of this stuff. I will go with Xavier to get the job done. I think this game has fantastic potential to be awesome.
48 is the key number. That's the distance between Xavier and Dayton in miles. 48. So this is a home game for Xavier.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean, 48. By the way, no traffic out there.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're doing that. That's like 26
When you live in Ohio, when you live in Ohio, you can get to places quick in Ohio.
Totally. Xavier's one of those teams like North Carolina, only 1 quad 1 win, but they've given so many quad 1 teams so many good games. You got to wonder where Texas' head is at, right? If there's going to be a coaching change, they've had so many ups and downs. Like, do they have that ability to flip that switch? I think this is just too easy here. Give me Xavier lay the points.
How's it go, Tim Doyle? We get those shots up early. If they fall, you keep on shooting. We're going to the South next. A couple fall here for Tim Doyle. We're going to pick each and every game. South region is the object of our affection next, including an Auburn team that's looking to take this thing back up a notch. Struggling, but will they make their way out of the region? We'll dive into those first matchups in the South next.
Auburn, the #1 overall seed. The Tigers residing in the South region. If they can get all the way to Atlanta, have a chance to get to the Final Four for the first time since 2019. Awaiting in the next round, a battle of birds. Louisville and Creighton, a game being played in Lexington, Kentucky. Just one of many matchups that are very tasty here on Selection Sunday. Back here in studio, Matt Norlander, Tim Doyle, Joe Musso alongside, and that's exactly where I want to start. Louisville, Creighton in Lexington on Thursday, the Battle of the Birds, Blue Jays and Cardinals. Blue Jays in the wild are bigger, stronger than a Cardinal in the wild. I have a bird feeder in my house.
Yeah.
The Blue Jay comes to the bird feeder, all the birds clear out. If I'm Creighton on the basketball floor, everybody's clearing out for Ryan Kalkbrenner. I have Creighton moving on here. Who do you have moving on here?
I'll tell you in just a second.
Okay.
I do want to tell you that this is an 8-9 matchup at 12:15 Eastern on CBS on Thursday. This is the first game of the tournament, and I cannot tell you how much I adore the first game that we get to on Thursday when we cannot wait for this tournament to start. an 8-9 matchup, and that's going to be what this is. I'm going to take Creighton in this game because I think they're going to have, I know, they'll have the best player on the floor in Ron Kalkbrenner. Chucky Hepburn has been tremendous this season, and I mean tremendous, no doubt about it. Terrence Edwards Jr. has been a big-time player. Rain Smith, a really good three-point shooter for Louisville, has been injured, and his availability and impact overall obviously has been up in the air leading into this game. But I will go with Creighton, not deep overall. Really interesting matchup in terms of strategy, but I'm going to take the Jays and what really could be a rather fantastic game. Louisville for Louisville fans, they're ticked about getting the 8, but you only have to make a drive to get to this game. And think about where your program was the past 2 years. This is an amazing one-year turnaround, the biggest in the history of the program.
What do you like in this spot?
I like Louisville at home. This is a home game.
Yeah.
And by the way, they played the first game, so they're going to pack. What's it going to be? Louisville versus Creighton fans. I know there's going to be other fans there from the other respective schools, but they're going to pack that out. That is a basketball crazy town. By the way, have you been following Louisville basketball the last few years? Terrible. Laughing stock.
Until this year.
Hire Pat Kelsey. I think they got hosed with their seed, but they got a great location, and they're going to have an essential home game. So much when you're filling out your bracket, where are these teams going? What time are they playing? Michigan is playing UC San Diego at 10 p.m. Eastern. Advantage, the West Coast school there, right? Because the time change is drastic for them. So those are the things that you have to look at when you're filling out your bracket. Where are the matchups? Who's going to go where? I think this is just a really favorable. Creighton is just okay without Pop Isaacs. I know Stephen Ashford, Ryan Kalkbrenner. I watch a lot. I think the Big East, like the Big 12, huge question marks going into this tournament.
Getting the body to believe when it's time to go. It's a great point made by Tim Doyle. Let's go to that game here next. Michigan's size going to be put to the test against UC San Diego. It's their first ever tournament appearance, 15 straight wins, our longest active streak in Division I. Matt Norlander, how do they match up with that size, with the time advantage? Yes, on their side.
They do. UC San Diego is a legit team. They are not seeded correspondent to how good they are. This is a top 40 Ken Pom team. They have been tremendous this season out of the Big West. Really good on defense. Eric Olin is their coach. Man, did Michigan get hosed. They shouldn't be a 5, and they shouldn't have to face a team like this. Now, they've got two bigs. They've got a really good fun offense. That's all really good stuff here. But UC San Diego, 15 wins in a row. That's the longest streak in the country that's active right now. Top 30 defense overall. They don't turn it over. How about this? UC San Diego does not turn the ball over, and they're really good at turning you over. Michigan's issue is turnovers. Can't believe I'm going to say this because I actually thought, not knowing the bracket, if 3 hours ago, I might have sight unseen picked Michigan into the Sweet 16. I'm going to go with the 12/5 upset. And I know, here's the thing. This is going to be so trendy because of the gaudy record for UC San Diego. Ball knowers know just how good they are. And Michigan won the Big Ten tournament, played well, but it's gotten tripped up a lot. It's been a lot of close games that it's won. I will go with the Tritons. Forks up. Let's go.
This was 3.5. Now it's down to 2.5. So all the money is coming out on UC San Diego. It's just a bad matchup. The time, it's going to be a 10 p.m. Eastern game, favors UC San Diego. Now, I will say this. Vlad Golden can dominate on the inside. If UC San Diego can spread them out, play 5 out, you got Danny Wolf running on pick and like they may play zone in this game to try to use their size and try to find shooters. They've won a lot of close games, and they've won them in low-scoring fashion. They don't win shootouts. They win grind fest. I watched a game this year. It was terrible. They beat Nebraska. It was like one of the worst basketball games I'd watched all season. No one could make a shot. Doesn't that sound very similar to the Big Ten Conference Championship game where nobody could make a shot? If UC San Diego makes shots in this game, they will beat Michigan.
All right, next matchup here, Texas A&M against Yale. That game being played in Denver, Colorado. Buzz Williams against the champions of the Ivy League. Who you got here?
Yeah, he's mentioned Denver. 2011, my first year covering the tournament for CBS. I went out there, and there were 3 huge upsets. Denver tends to bring in these kind of games.
Did you see any concerts out there? Wilco or something?
Not when I was going down. No, I was covering the NCAA tournament. As much as I would like to have done that. A&M ranks 317th in the country in three-point percentage, 293rd in two-point percentage, and 274 in free throw percentage. Thanks to the great Ken Palmer and his website for that data immediately. But it is #1 in offensive rebounding percentage, and it's because they're so good at crashing the boards that they've got the seed they've got. They've been as good as they've been. I'm going to go again with an upset here. James Jones is a tremendous coach. Hey, he's been awesome for 26 seasons at Yale. Probably should have been hired to a bigger job 4, 6, 8, 10 years ago. Regardless, that's to Yale's benefit here. They did it a season ago. Auburn was a top 6, top 7 team overall in the metrics, and Yale beat Auburn in the first round. Some years back, Yale beat Baylor in the first round. I think they're going to do it again. If they can contain Wade Taylor IV and Jurek Phelps, Yale gets it done.
Yeah,
double-digit upset.
They have 2 senior guards, Yale, that have been there before. It's so. By the way,
And Danny Wolf used to be there now at Michigan, oh, by the way, and he's still doing this.
so they lost their best player, Yale, and they lost 1 game in the Ivy League, and now they have a guy in John Polikinis, lefty, that could spread you out. He could shoot the 3. This is going to be a Yale team that's not intimidated by the moment. Nate Towson averaged only 3 points a game as a freshman. Now he's averaging 15 points a game. He's emerged. Obviously, Texas A&M has better athletes. I'll say this. If they win, and I'm picking Yale plus the points here, this will be the last year the Ivy League ever wins a game in the tournament, ever. Because the separation right now between those that are making NIL, like Princeton's 2 best players stuck around, these 2 guys at Yale stuck around. No one's going to be sticking around anymore because of the NIL situation. So those guys were all juniors and seniors, so they were like, we're already 2-3 years in, might as well see through my Ivy League education. I think the Ivy League's going to turn into Division III, and I don't think they're ever going to win a game unless the rules change drastically with contracts. The way it stands right now is be the last year the Ivy Leagues win a game.
Wow. It's a point well taken. It's a good degree to have. We will say that much. Tim Doyle going to head up the road and give a pep talk there to the side he has chosen in the Yale Bulldogs. I'm coming right back to you here, Tim, first, because we have to sort of gnaw on the gristle of a big number now. Looking at Lipscomb, Iowa State, 13.5. You don't want to get undone by a missed extra point. I hate looking at 13.5 for a different reason in a different sport. But when you look at a number that big, do you have a dead number where I'm just not even entertaining? It's a no play for me, or it's the dog?
Normally, I don't like to lay that many points in any game, NBA or college, just because I don't like when my team wins and I lose.
And you lose.
So I would throw this in a money line parlay. You can't bet them straight up because they'd be minus like 800.
Right.
I have a hard time laying points with Iowa State, but I'm picking them in this game. So coming up against Lipscomb, I'll lay the points here, but I do think that they win. Keyshawn Gilbert's not going to be a go. He does everything. He defends, he steals the ball, he hooks up his teammates. He's a 4-year guy. Like, that kills them. If he was playing, I think Iowa State go to a Final Four. The fact that he's out, I think they're very susceptible to lose to any team, especially the next game after this. They win, but I'll lay the points here reluctantly.
Why reluctantly?
The wind that just came out of Matt Norlander's sail.
I was convinced you were going the other way.
Yeah, I think Iowa State, choose your own adventures. Ever since that guy, hit the half-court shot in Arizona, they have not been the same team. And you make that noise when you shoot it that far away. Woo!
There's been a little bit of speculation, and some folks that are intaking this content right now, we appreciate you after the fact on VOD, YouTube, etc. Whether about Keyshawn Gilbert's groin injury and how severe was it, because he's been ruled out for the tournament. He has since gone on social media and said, hey, listen, there's a rehab process. I'm not going to be able to play. Like, this isn't anything else other than that. The game straight up, I'm taking Iowa State. Lipscomb Bison's quality team. Iowa State, I think, wins this one and wins it easy. I'm only picking the game straight up because that spread stuff, that's out of my wheelhouse. If I did, however, I like the Clones here by 17, 18 points. Yeah,
give me the Clones. I got Curtis Jones still. He's still healthy. Guy stepped into the starting lineup and has led them this season. He's been fantastic. That's their glue guy. They can't lose him and be okay.
I was very high on them. TJ Alzberger.
Yep.
Wonder if he's sticking around. You know what I like about him? Medium shirts.
He's sticking around. He's not
usually
going
wears like the tighties, especially, and he's kind of jacked. I bet you he's benching about 225, 6 to 8 reps, 4 or 5 sets. But yes, this is a team that can defend. Their offense this year, like Houston, kind of caught up to their defense. They were always one of those great defensive teams that can't score. This was their best offensive squad, but they're just not at full strength. I'm sorry, Lipscomb. I would take Iowa State.
Lipscomb, Iowa State in Milwaukee. Now let's talk about the team from Milwaukee, Marquette, taking on New Mexico in Cleveland on Friday. You got Richard Pitino. You got Shaka Smart. In the 10-7 matchup there. Who do you like in this spot? This feels like a real toss-up.
You mentioned Richard Pitino. Just a quick note here. There's never been a season ever in the history of college basketball where a father and son have collectively had a better single season in the same year than what Rick and Richard Pitino have been able to do. That's a really, really cool story. I'm going to take the Lobos here. You know, they've got Donovan Dent, who's an incredible player. They love to get up and down the floor. This team is top 5 in pace overall. They're going to try and really make Marquette run and sprint here, and we can see if they can get successful with that. Their defense is top 20 quality. It's not just Dent, although he's been really good. Nelly Jr. Joseph, a guy who used to play for Rick Pitino at Iona. He's been a beast all season long. I will take New Mexico. Got knocked out by Boise State in a really good game in the Mountain West Tournament. Marquette, meantime, this is a team that started 18-3, and since then has gone 5-7 down the stretch. Got knocked out by St. John's in the Big East Tournament. It doesn't get to the line a ton, and it doesn't shoot the three-pointer well. Now, the reason why I think this could be close, New Mexico's not good from the foul line. Marquette's not good from the three-point line. 7-10 game. This feels faded to me to be tight margins the whole time. No team with a bigger lead than, say, 6 points, but I will go Lobos 10/7 in this one.
I like New Mexico, too. Great matchup. You got Cam Jones, one of the best players, can do a little bit of everything, been around the block many years. Donovan Dent's an electrifying scorer. I think Marquette, at one time, was ranked top 10.
Yes.
Actually went to DePaul as ranked 7th in the country. I take DePaul to the overtime, and at that moment, I went, I don't know if that's top 10 team if you're a life and death to beat DePaul. So I think this is a toss-up, but I like New Mexico here. Plus, I'm getting 3.5 points. It's a full possession. I'll take those 3.5 points.
All right, that's how they see that one. Final matchup here in the region. Going to take us to Michigan State and Bryant, 17.5, another big number. Matt, you want to talk about familial ties? You got a Martelli here. You got Izzo, who has spanned generations. When you look at this matchup, obvious the side we're going to lean to, but tell me why and what Michigan State can learn about themselves that they can take forward to their next matchup.
Well, I sat down with Tom Izzo for about 2 hours in his office about 3 weeks ago, and we got into all sorts of stuff. Plenty on the record and plenty off of the record, but one big takeaway that I had from Izzo is our guys have... He was harkening back to when Team Cleaves and that group won the 2000 National Championship. And he said, you know, that team, we would stay up till 1 in the morning together and just watch all the college games and all the NBA games. They loved being together, and they found that they got better because they wanted to spend time with each other. He said this team, he's like, it's not the best team since that 2000 group, but he's like, it's one of the 3 or 4 most connected teams I've had over the past 2 decades. And I think that and that camaraderie, that focus, is going to really help them. I don't think it'll be too close. I think Michigan State comes out gangbusters here and doesn't have too much of a problem with Bryant. But yes, congrats to Phil Martelli Jr. and Phil Martelli, now the coach, Jr.'s now coach to Bryant, and a rare instance, although not totally uncommon, but we don't see it that often, where a father and a son have both coached their team to the NCAA tournament.
Lamb. They have Jace Richardson.
Do it.
Do it.
17. Come on.
I have Michigan State going to the Final Four.
Thank you.
Obviously, I have them winning this game. But I will say this. I'll take Bryant in the points here. Here's why. They won the America East. They stepped up from the NEC, which is one of the worst conferences, where they actually won that. That's when Jarek Grosso was the head coach. They won all their conference tournament games, all of them, by double digits, okay? They have a transfer from St. John's. Is it Pinzon?
Pinson, I think.
Pinson, okay. 2 years at St. John's, didn't play. Now he's averaging almost 20 a game at Bryant. They have another transfer, Earl Timberlake. He was at Memphis. He was at Miami, not playing. Comes to Bryant, dominating. Why? Because he's a 6'6" big man. You don't dominate at Power Fives. You dominated Bryant. He's found the home here. I think this game is like 12 or 14. I just think everyone knows Michigan State's going to win. That's so they make the number so outrageous. I think it stays inside the number.
3-0 straight up and ATS in their last 3 round of 64 games. 17 doesn't feel like that big of a number for Michigan State. It doesn't. For me, you take the points, I'd lay them.
Michigan State has, at times, had a tough time scoring.
Yeah, they can't shoot the 3. They're one of the worst in the country.
And one thing Brian can do is maybe get up like 17-9, and then Michigan State ends up pulling away at the end. So I think Brian actually has some scoring power, and they like to play kind of fast. So I just think it's too many points. I think Michigan State wins and Brian covers.
That is how they see the South coming up. We discover how the West was won. St. John's magic season.
Let's go.
Now set for madness.
That was my old dorm there.
Coach Pitino with the sweater under the jacket. I love the look. We'll see how it looks moving forward now that March is here. Go West, young man. All the entertainment just oozing out of this region. St. John's perhaps stealing the story, but will it be Florida, the top seed in the region, claiming the Nets? It's the group of death, if I'm not mistaken, here in the West. And here to assess the West, our crew going strong, fellas. This is going to be interesting from top to bottom, and these matchups, they sort of, at certain points, seem obvious. At others, as we've said, you gotta reconcile with a big number. Such is the case here in our 1 versus 16 Florida 27.5. I mean, give us.
I got the Gators. Gators are winning. Take
give
it,
us
Tim.
the team. Yeah, Tim. How do you reconcile with 27.5?
I think it was pretty cool that SIUE have actually called games there. It used to be Edwardsville. It was their first berth in Division I. Brian Baroni, his dad, was a legend in the coaching game. Tony Baroni. They got Norfolk State.
Yeah, Norfolk State. Yeah. Robert Jones, really good coach at Norfolk State. Yeah, really good stuff. Florida versus Norfolk State. This game, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Florida. Sorry. My pick, Florida by 1,000,000.
There we go. That's what I like.
Sorry, I did have SIUE playing Houston relative.
That is happening, but you're getting too far ahead of yourself.
Sorry about that. I have Florida winning. I think Florida, guys, right now, best team in college basketball. Toughest draw of all the #1 seeds. So we're going to see how good they really are.
Matt, I do want to ask you this because in talking a little bit upstairs, you said Florida, you see it. It's hard not to when you look at them and their potential to be Final Four and beyond. But you said it's going to be the trendy pick.
It is going to be the trendy pick because they've been playing dominantly. Florida, they've got a great three-guard attack led by Walter Clayton Jr. And keep in mind, Cooper Flagg versus Janai Broome, that's been the Player of the Year race. And in my opinion, that race is still not decided, and we don't have to vote on it for CBS Sports for another 2 weeks still. But the third best player in the country this season has been Walter Clayton Jr. at Florida.
Wow.
He's been awesome this season, and he's got a couple of great guards flanking him. Elijah Martin, who has Final Four experience from FAU, elite perimeter defender, and then Will Richard does a good job as well. But they've got size everywhere. Micah Hanlogden's a 7'1" dude who broke his leg a year ago. He recently returned. Awesome defensive presence. Alex Condon, Thomas Houck. They're loaded across the board. So if you want to pick Florida to win the national title, I'm not going to tell you not to do it because I think they've got a really good chance to do it. But the thing is, this region is tough. And there's something about the team that enters as a 1 seed or 2 seed that's super, super hot, that gets really trendy. Usually more often than not, that team doesn't wind up winning 6 in a row and cutting down the nets, but Florida's capable of doing it. Todd Golden, you have to coach his team to an NCAA tournament win in his young coaching career. That's going to end. It's a matter of, does he get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins?
They have the best guards, and their best pro prospect is not one of them. That's Alex Condon. He's 6'11". He could pass, he could shoot, he could do a little bit of everything. That's the guy that we look back on this team. If they win, they go, oh, wow, they had that guy.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tim.
Like to this team, and they're playing great ball. And by the way, biggest key, healthy. The Auburn and Duke, I believe, at full strength are better than these two teams. Those teams are not at full strength.
30-win season for Florida. A couple of the previous times they had a 30-win season, they won a couple national championships. They went back-to-back. Speaking of going back-to-back, UConn, back-to-back national champions, trying to make a three-peat here viable. It doesn't feel like it is, but they have to run through Oklahoma on Friday, also against in Raleigh, North Carolina there. UConn, the 8 seed, Oklahoma, the 9 seed. I'm going to go ahead because I'm drinking that Connecticut water. I'm moving UConn on here, but I'm not moving them on past Florida, Matt. What are you doing?
Well, you know, it's funny when Dan Hurley was walking out of the Garden on Saturday after the Big East semifinal loss, I was saying, you don't want, this game's in Raleigh, right? Yep. I was like, you don't want Raleigh. Why don't I want Raleigh? Well, Duke's going to be in Raleigh. Oh, yeah, I don't want Raleigh. Well, he's in Raleigh. It's not Duke, but it is Florida. It's going to be a difficult matchup there. I'm going to take UConn in the spot. Head-to-head, player-to-player. Jeremiah Fears for Oklahoma is dynamite. He's an all-offensive kind of player, but he's an NBA-level talent. On the other side, you've, of course, got Liam McNeely, a different kind of player altogether for UConn. This will be an offensive game. I do think the winning team is going to crack 80 points. Both these teams have had some issues on the defensive side. And I also think with how volatile these two teams are, we could get a good one. But if you told me that the winning side here wound up winning by 12, 13 points because it got away from them late, I completely believe it. I refuse to believe that a team coached by Dan Hurley coming off back-to-back national championships is going to walk into the NCAA tournament and promptly lose immediately. I don't think that'll happen. Give me the Huskies to win.
I agree. I just can't see them losing. Now, this spread is odd. I would take UConn on the money line here. We got to lay 4.5 with them. Oklahoma is like this. Yes. Yes, no more conference play. Talk about choose your own adventures. This is a team that was like, whoa, are they really for real? And they've gotten the conference, and they were like, whoa, they're not even going to make the tournament. So they're just probably thrilled to just get out of conference play. I think this game's going to go right down to the wire. I think the difference is you got Dan Hurley there on the sideline, so I'll take UConn here.
One of those UConn losses that started to make us scratch our head was the Memphis matchup. Memphis now going opposite Colorado State, a team that shot at 50% from the field in their conference championship game. It was impressive stuff. Defense has also been a strong suit for the Rams. A 2.5-point favorite here. This is a 5-12, and Tim, I'm going to come to you here first here. 2.5 with the Rams. Shooting, water usually finds its level, regression to the mean. Do you give an edge one way or the other here?
Yeah, Colorado State's playing awesome. They're extremely hot. They have a coach that is a brilliant offensive mind. they're the 12 and they're the favorite, right? So it feels like all the smart money is on them. I don't know if a lot of people really gave the time of day to watch Memphis, like really zero in and watch them. They have a superstar in P.J. Haggerty who's averaging over 20 a game. They have experience. They have extreme toughness. Penny Hardaway. I just think there's a team that's like falling below the radar, and I think Colorado State's getting a lot of love. They played on national TV. They were on our airwaves. I think you feel like, oh, this team's really hot. I think Memphis is kind of disrespected in this spot. I like Memphis on the money line.
Well, they're also, you know, Colorado State rates better than Memphis in the predictive metrics. Memphis is an intriguing team. From a resume standpoint, they deserve to be a 5, 6 seed, and they get the 5 here, obviously. Colorado State was an obvious pick that was going to be a 12 with how they played. I'm going to go Colorado State. They've got the shorter flight. This game is in Seattle. This is a 2 Eastern tip on TBS on Friday. I want to make sure I have that correct. Yeah, that is a 2 Eastern. This is what, an 11 a.m. tip local. That is an early tip there. Colorado State has one fewer time zone to account for with all of that. Nick Clifford has been insane. We talk about guys who can really make a name for themselves once you get on the biggest stage of the NCAA tournament. This tournament, actually, and this is going to be something that we're going to talk about frequently on the HQ set here and into the week and on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. I'm not kidding you when I tell you there's like 24 guys that are really, really good and can make a huge, huge splash. Nick Clifford I'd have at the top of that list or in the top 5 or 7 overall. He's been phenomenal. I think he's a first-round NBA talent. And I like Nico Medved, who, by the way, I expect to be the next coach at Minnesota whenever Colorado State's run is done. I like his Rams to beat Memphis and push off that inevitability at least by a couple of days.
All right, so some disagreement there. Matt likes Colorado State. Tim likes Memphis. I like Memphis there. Joe, what do you like?
It feels like Memphis. It does feel like we might be a little bit high on Colorado State right now.
Yeah, I'm out on the Mountain West after what happened last year.
I'm out
because of the Mountain, because of what happened last year.
That's
I don't
exactly
trust
what I want to hear.
They got to trust me. They got to earn my trust
Tigers.
back.
Take the Tigers. Tyrese Hunter, by the way, got banged up in the AAC final. It remains to be seen how healthy and strong he'll be for this game.
I have enjoyed saying the name Dane Danger all season. He's been all over the highlights.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yes.
Also on Friday in Seattle, we got Grand Canyon out of the whack, earning that auto bid against Maryland, the Crab 5, led by Derek Queen. This is an enticing matchup here, Matt. I like Maryland here in this spot. I like Maryland also to go pretty deep in this tournament. I'm not saying all the way to the Final Four, but have a nice run under Kevin Willard. What should we know about the Lopes and Terps here?
Well, the Terps are a tremendous team. I'm going to take them to win. This is, by the way, a cross-country trip here.
Yeah.
This is what we call the reverse Cronin, with Maryland having to go all the way to the West Coast there. I don't know how Kevin Willard is going to react when he lands and sees the Space Needle, but we'll see how that goes. They've got Derek Queen's been one of the 3 or 4 best freshmen in the country this season. It's not just him, though. Julian Reese is awesome, and they've got some great, great guards. Selton Miguel is a guy who doesn't get quite enough buzz overall. Grand Canyon, Tyon Grant Foster is back from a season ago. He's a really, really good player, but he's not the only guy there now. They share the sugar pretty well. A good Grand Canyon team last season's was better. I just think from a matchup standpoint, you never know. We're going to get a game that is a complete shock of an upset, and this would qualify. Not a lot of people are going to pick GCU. I'm not going to do it. I think the Terps get it done, and I think they get done with some comfort.
Maryland has a blitzability where they can just like punch you in the mouth, and if they're making threes coupled with the inside play, it could get really ugly for Grand Canyon. So I'll lay the points here at Maryland.
This next one, Drake and Mizzou. Tip of the cap to our colleague Eric Casilius, who has a rule. He says, say it out loud.
Yep.
Does it make sense if you say it out loud? Missouri, a loser in 4 of 5, laying 6.5. We know how Tim Doyle feels about Drake.
Love the Drake.
Love the Drake.
Love the Drake.
Norlander, how should I feel about the Drake?
You should feel good about the Drake here. This game is a True TV 7:35 tip on Thursday in Wichita, Kansas. Keep in mind where these two teams are based out of. This is actually a local situation for both clubs. I understand the Iowa to Wichita travel might be a little bit further than what Columbia is, but I'm going to go Drake in this spot. Ben McCollum has been a tremendous coach for a long time. D2, won 4 national championships. His name heavily involved at potential spots here. This is just what's going to happen. You get really good, you take a mid-major to the NCAA tournament, you're going to be on the candidate list here, but he's going to be focused here on Mizzou, and I like Drake to get this done. I think that record is for real. I think the style of play that they have is for real. And also, I think Mark Mitchell should be expected to play. We're waiting, I think, on official stuff at tape time here on his availability. Key front court player for Missouri. He leads the team in scoring. But even if Mark Mitchell was available, I'm gonna take the Bulldogs. I think I'm in on them.
You know what I'm in on? The Missouri Valley. They get hosed every year.
They do.
It's an outstanding basketball
Thank you for
conference.
being a mayor of that conference.
Yeah, I carry the
Mayor of the
flag.
MVC.
Yes. Yeah,
It's a great conference.
Like Bradley, no one would want to play.
Drake shouldn't be an 11. I'm not surprised
That's
by
a
it.
bad
But
seed.
they've got. I mean, if they, I knew there was no chance they would be a 9. I get it, but they're as good as an 8 or 9 seed. But so that's what Missouri gets.
Last few years, Missouri got run off the court by Princeton in the tournament. Last year, they didn't win a game in the conference. They went 0-19. Now you're going to lay 6.5. No, thank you. I'll take Drake, and I'll take him on the money line.
Okay. UNCW, Texas Tech, also in Wichita, Kansas on Thursday. You've got Texas Tech averaging 81 points per game. You've got UNCW averaging 79 points per game first in the Coastal. Take the over. Who are you taking to win?
I'm going Texas Tech without too much hesitation here. I think this is the kind of game. It's a 3-14. You've got an approximate 10-10 tip on True TV, by the way, Thursday night. So this isn't that late window. And if this goes the way I think it goes, you get yourself concerned with some other late ones, and this one won't be close. I like Texas Tech, and I like them comfortably. JT Toppin, borderline first-team All-American. He's been an incredible transfer, as good as just about anyone in the country.
To borrow your phrase, Tim Doyle, I don't like Texas Tech. I love Texas Tech. I love the Fighting Grant McCaslins. I love JT Toppin and that offense. It's awesome to watch. They're a fun brand of basketball.
It's actually the first offense that Grant McCaslin has that's maybe on par with the defense. When he was at North Texas, remember, they was like grind you out every game, 55 points, try to slow you down. This team's fun. They're exciting. They're well tested. The only thing I will say, better logo is UNC Wilmington, because if you really dive,
You took the words out of my mouth. I almost jumped in and said, "What a logo!"
Yeah, because the key with the logo is
Some lettering.
the bird actually has a W with the eyebrows.
Well done.
It's amazing.
Respect the graphic art.
Outstanding logo. And Texas Tech, you got the woohoo guns in the air. You got the fun little mascot. Better logo, UNCW.
Do you want to do a color swap right now for social with logo color swaps here?
I love the color
UNCW
scheme
and
there.
Texas Tech. Like, what, if they traded colors, who would you like better? Let's give it right to social. They love that.
Come on, black and red are going to win any day of the week over the the more new age Florida Marlins.
You don't want to see that scheme getting off the bus. That's a good get off the bus color scheme. The black and red, it strikes fear. We got another game to get to here, and it's a brand name, Kansas and Arkansas. And I want to talk about that brand name, -5.5. Is that brand name baked into the number there? Or do you think properly positioned are the Kansas Jayhawks?
Choose your own adventures game here. Boogie Fland is supposed to play. You would think that's a good thing. He played in SEC games. Arkansas lost all of them. He's supposed to be a go. Kansas, what are you going to get from Kansas? I have no idea. Like, you want to buy in. They were #1 preseason. Hunter Dickinson's still in college. I think I bought his first beer when he was a freshman. I was still in school. He's still out there. Zeke Mayo is a good transfer, but they can't shoot from the perimeter. Kansas is one of these teams, Matt. I was like, come on, you're gonna turn it around. You're gonna turn it around. This is a horse that always runs second. I can't trust him here. I'll take Arkansas plus the points. I'll take Arkansas on the money line.
All right, Thursday in Providence, where Matt Norlander will be. St. John's, Omaha. St. John's, move them on. St. John's with one of the great stories this season. Rick Pitino, the first head coach to ever take 6 different schools to the NCAA tournament. This is the beginning for me for a great long run for the Johnnies.
I think I agree with you on that, Hakeem, and it's incredible to see what he's been able to do. And I think, like, getting St. John's to the 2-line, double champ of the Big East. If you want to say Rick Pitino is top 3 all time as a coach in the history of men's college basketball, I think you got to really.
John Wooden, Coach K, Rick Pitino.
I'd go K1, Wooden 2, Pitino 3. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
Rick Pitino over Bob Knight.
Yes, yes, and I don't think that is actually all that close. Yeah, Rick Pitino over Bob Knight. Just in terms of everything that comes with it, yeah, Rick Pitino. He's just done an amazing job. It's an incredible story. I think that St. John's might be the best story in college basketball heading into the NCAA tournament. I've got St. John's playing Kansas, that Kansas-Arkansas game. I'll be there. That's a 7 o'clock tip on CBS on Thursday night.
Rick Pitino and St. John's are New York's team. They play some bully ball, and if you can't make a bucket, Tim, he'll find another guy to make a bucket.
I know.
He'll find another guy.
St. John's. Matt, do you know what my stats were there? I was a 30-30-30 guy. If we were up by 30 or down by 30, I got in for like 30 seconds.
Love it. Better than me.
The West, the region of doom, or the region of whatever you want to call it, or the group of death, or whatever you want to call it. We're going to head to the East.
The Legion of Doom, that's
The Hall of Fame region, by the way. Hurley,
Yes.
Self,
Round robin
Patino,
play.
Calipari. It's the Hall of Fame region. That's what it is.
It is. You're absolutely right. The East region, Duke resides. When should Cooper Flag play? Next on CBS Sports HQ. Duke, the 1 seed in the East. They'll play the winner of American and Mount St. Mary's in Raleigh, North Carolina on Friday, a virtual home game for the Blue Devils. Duke was a 1 seed in each of the last 4 tournaments. They won the national championship, 27-1 since Thanksgiving. Their only loss to Clemson. As you take a look at the East region bracket, back here in studio, Matt Norlander, Tim Doyle, Joe Musso alongside. The Duke Blue Devils are expected to have Cooper Flag back for the tournament. Nursing that left ankle sprain may hold him out for that first game against the winner of those 16 seeds, but they're going to definitely need him in the next game against Baylor or Mississippi State. You got Drew against Chris Jans, the dentist. Matt Norlander, this is going to be a tough game to pick. That's your job. Who you got moving on here?
Yeah, this is our first tip, by the way, on Friday. This is 12:15 CBS tip in Raleigh. I'm going to go with Mississippi State. Baylor's got some fun potential, but they've had it all season long. They've been up and down. I actually think that Baylor was afforded a better seed than it deserved in this spot. Don't think Baylor's a 9 overall, not with 14 losses on the overall resume. Nevertheless, here they are. Baylor has been a bit of a sieve defensively. Meantime, Mississippi State, it's been up and down here and there. It got off to a 14-1 start, and since then, it went 7-11 down the stretch there, so it's been problematic. But I will go with Chris Jans' program. I just find them to be a little bit more reliable. He hasn't had a team this good offensively in a while, and they got a guy who can absolutely hoist him and make him in Josh Hubbard. He's a lot of fun. This to me feels like 50-50 chance, but I will go with Mississippi State.
Yeah, Hubbard's only 5'10", 5'11", and he can definitely score. I think Baylor is the best player, or at least the guy with the most pro potential, being VJ Edgecombe. I'll take Baylor in this game. Rumor has it their basketball team spent $6 million on their squad, and to land, what, an 8-9 game? Ugh, yeah. Not good. So it's about how you build that sauce. What's the recipe here? They have some older guys. Norman O'Chair, Norchad Omer. Yeah, he's still in college.
Yep.
We've been calling his games for 5 years now.
Yep.
He's there. Rob Wright's an exciting guard. I just think that Baylor has a little bit more talent. Hard game, but I'll take Baylor.
Always something to prove at 5'11". I'll tell you that. Yeah. Oregon and Liberty, our next matchup here. Oregon laying 6.5. Dana Altman, 7-0 in the round of 64, Matt Norlander. We talk about, what that's worth and the pedigree of a head coach. Different teams, different players, different places. But when you look at a 6.5-point favorite, Oregon over Liberty, what's inspired inside you?
Well, I'm gonna take Oregon here, but I'm not ultra confident. I think this is going to be the least discussed potential 12/5. Oregon won a bunch of games against a lot of good teams. They came into this overall, doing well in quad one. Oregon finished, heading into the NCAA tournament with what? They had 8 quad one wins. They did well for themselves. Liberty ranks 5th in the country, 39.5% from 3-point range. This is top 70 team in the metrics. Richie McKay's got a nice group for himself. I will go Oregon. They've got a guy named Jackson Shellstad who loves the big moment. He has hit a number of huge long-range three-pointers to either tie or win games in his 2 years with the Ducks. I will go with the Ducks here, but I do think this has really healthy potential to be a tight game late. I will go with the more experienced team.
Wow, I feel like a hedge. You feel like that was like an emotional hedge?
I'm taking the Ducks.
That was an emotional hedge. I like Liberty here. By the way, won CUSA comfortably, but in non-conference. And I get it. Teams change throughout the year. They beat Kansas State, who, spent a lot of money in the portal.
Yeah.
They also beat McNeese State, who didn't lose too many games, 19-1 in the Southland. I love Talon Peter. Only averages 22 minutes a game. And in those 22 minutes, nearly 14 points a game. He was 7 of 7. He had 20 points off the bench against Jacksonville State in the championship game. Liberty, 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 plus the points.
All right, another upset special coming here. Akron, Arizona, Seattle, Friday evening at 7:35 on True TV. John Gross, Tommy Lloyd. This always feels like the Mid-American Conference always gets a Pac-12 team. Arizona no longer the Pac-12 because that conference is no longer existing. It is the Pac-2.
It'll be back.
But, and I hope that it does come back because it's one of the great conferences in all of college sports. But this always feels like the matchup, a MAC team against a team.
Oh, they're disrespected here, the MAC. This is disrespect.
Yes. get after him, the Zips, or do you like Caleb Love? It's going to be tough to bottle him up.
Akron has one loss since we got to 2025. It was a road game against Ohio, but other than that, they've been on fire. John Gross's team gets up and down the floor. They really want to run here. And Tommy Lloyd, in the way he goes, I like this one. I don't know what the over/under is, but I do think that I think Arizona's got a chance to hit 90 points in this game. I will take the Wildcats. I don't think they get tripped up, but you face a team that's won this much over the course of the past 2+ months. You know, there's no doubt about it that Akron will play without abandon. They've got a really good shot. They're in the tournament in back-to-back seasons, and a quality team out of the MAC. I will go with Arizona. It's not just Caleb Love. Henry Visar has come on. He's a big international player, has been really, really good. And if KJ Lewis can help, roam the perimeter and be a lockdown defender, I like Arizona to get the job done.
One of the largest totals in the first round, 166.5.
Yeah, because Arizona can score 100.
Yep.
And then Arizona could lose. 2 years ago, they lost to Princeton when they were a 2 seed.
Yeah.
I like Akron here. Johnny Gross, 17-1 this year in the MAC. He dominates in the MAC. They've won 7 straight games. They have a hard time scheduling. He did the best he could. He played Yale. They won the Ivy. He played St. Mary's. They won the regular season WCC. He played Omaha. They ended up winning the Summit Conference. He tries. Nobody wants to play them. He's got Johnson and Johnson in the backcourt. Tavari, I got a chance to see him play as a high school player. They have a legit backcourt. I think they could win this game. I'm actually taking Akron to win this game, and I'm going to take them plus the points.
Okay.
All right, next up, BYU hates to see an 11 seed come in. That was the case a year ago. Duquesne dispelling them. This time, it's going to be VCU trying to do that. BYU just 2.5 points of confidence, Matt Norlander. How much confidence do you have?
I'm going BYU. I think BYU is a really, could be a trendy team to go deep here. They've got a freshman named Yegor Demon, who's could well be a top 10 pick, really good floor distributor. Richie Saunders is really the guy that makes it go for BYU, shooting 43.3% from three-point range. He's been tremendous. Him alongside Dallin Hall. There's, Kevin Young spent a long time in the NBA, former Phoenix Suns assistant, and they've quickly adapted here. VCU is a good team. Ryan Odom's got himself a good squad as well, led by Max Shulga, who's been terrific. This game is an awesome 6-11, and we have this across the board in this tournament. There are so many really, really great matchups, but BYU, VCU, I think could be among the best first-round games we have. I will go with the Cougars to beat the Rams.
Yeah, I like VCU in this game. I like them on the money line. I like them plus the points. 4 times they played quad 1 game. They won 3 of them. They also returned their top 3 scorers from last year. Why is that important? Connectivity, continuity, chemistry, so hard to find. Jack Clark has been in college for technically 17 years. He's still there. Matt mentioned Shulga. He thought about going to Villanova, ends up staying there. Bamaseal's another guy that could score. I actually love VCU. I think VCU is very dangerous in that bracket.
It's the Perry Ellis Award. We like to give it out.
I mean, Jack Clark, 8 years? 7 years? He's been in college that long. Yeah.
Thursday in Denver as well, Montana and Wisconsin. Look, you got the champions out of the Big Sky in Montana. Their coach was the coach of the year in the Big Sky, Greg Gard with Wisconsin. You saw what ended up in the Big Ten tournament. Feels like an easy move them on, that Montana's in the way, but how are you evaluating this 14 versus 3?
Yeah, this is what I love about the tournament, because there are just every single season, every single year, we get, I'm not even counting the 1-16s and mostly the 2-15s. There's one of these 3-14s or 4-13s where we're just like, all right, let's move on or whatever. I don't know if this game will be that, but there is always a game that you look up, you're like, wait a second, what? The mid-major? They're tied? They're winning? Maybe that'll be this game. I will take Wisconsin, though. They've been tremendous this season. John Tonjay's been an All-American. This is the best free throw shooting team in the tournament and in the sport overall. Really, really reliable from the line. I think that stuff shows up big and matters in the NCAA tournament. Wisconsin had an ugly offensive game against Michigan. I think they tossed that out. They play here, they win, and I don't think the Grizzlies give the Badgers too much resistance.
Agreed. By the way, I just want to clarify what ugly is in your eyes. Wisconsin was 7 of 39 from 3 against Michigan.
It didn't work out so well.
I mean, that's 18%. By the way, they lost by 6.
Yeah.
So if they would have made 2 more threes, essentially it would have been a tie. They would have been 9 of 39, which is still not very good. I don't know. Montana, you go back, they won the Big Sky, but every tournament team that they played non-conference, they got the doors blown off in this game. If Wisconsin goes, 7 of 39, maybe this game's close, but I'll lay the points.
All right, I'd like to take a moment here to recollect 1 and 2, tip our caps to our graphics and research team that do so much great work on this day to bring it to you and also to bring it to us. And sometimes you look down at one and you say, can we double check that? St. Mary's an exit in 7 straight tournament appearances in the first week. That first week, they don't see weekend number 2. That includes these last 3 in a row that they've made it to. Trying to buck that trend here. It's going to take a couple good efforts. First one coming against Vandy, a 4.5-point favorite. What's between those two, Matt?
Yeah, this is a Friday matchup at 3:15 on True TV. St. Mary's has been extremely good all season. It won 2 out of 3 against Gonzaga. And listen, Randy Benton's done an incredible job. They've got a good post presence down low. Mitchell Saxon, he defines the word hoss. Very much looking forward to seeing him go. And then they've got a point guard, Augustus Marshall-Leonis, who is very underrated for what he does with this team here. I think Vandy is the exact kind of matchup that St. Mary's might have been looking for. The Gales, top 10 in adjusted defensive efficiency. They're really rugged. They don't shoot the 3 that well. I don't know if that's going to matter against Vandy. Vandy even being in the tournament year 1 under Mark Byington ahead of the pace. And, you know, they could well win the game. But to me, this is a 7-10 matchup on paper. But if you really were to look at each team and its overall abilities, I think St. Mary's is on the level of a 5, and I think Vandy's closer to, say, a 12 overall. I like the Gales to get it done. What say you, Tim?
Yeah, I don't love laying points at St. Mary's because they're not explosive offensively.
Very slow team.
I saw them at the beginning of March, went out to
Moraga.
California, okay?
Yeah.
By the way,
you didn't ask somebody on the ground there how to pronounce it?
I drove around the school. It was legit a high school. And the gym that they play in is a legit a high school gym. And Augustus Marshall-Leonis, I had to learn that because I was doing the game. I had to interview him after the game.
Pronunciation.
Thank you. And by the way, he gave me the elevator look after the game. I walked up to interview him, and he went like this. Like, head-to-toe checkout. No, it's a head-to-toe checkout. Yeah, like, and he went, wow. He goes, you're tall.
Okay.
I said, yeah, I used to play. And
Game
stuff.
recognized.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, he sized me up, the guy. I go, yeah, I used to play. He goes, hey, you're tall. I said, thank you. I lie about my height like Musso did before. I think he threw out 5'11". I think that
6'1" in your program.
I don't know about that one. With the hair, maybe, if we're heading that on top. I think St. Mary's, if I had to lay points, I was 3.5, it's 4.5. I bet St. Mary's on the money line. They're hard to watch on offense at times, but they're super, super physical, and they have a style, they have a culture.
All right, also Friday in Cleveland, which is near and dear to my heart, which is where I grew up, Alabama and Robert Morris. Robert Morris comes in hot. They've won 10 in a row. Alabama struggling as of late. Nate Oates questioning his team's toughness, their effort. This is a move them on game here for Alabama. But the question here is a team that was in a Final Four last year. How deep can they get this year?
They can get out of this region. I think they can. You know, Duke's waiting on the top of it, so we'll see on that. Grant Nelson's health is also something to keep an eye on here. I think he's going to see a specialist on Monday to determine the severity of his knee injury. So if it's a situation where he's not going to be able to play or be effective, then that's going to impact how I eventually pick Alabama in this tournament on CBSSports.com. For the purposes of CBS Sports HQ on Sunday night, I might be a little bit more optimistic. But yes, they're a team that scored 100-plus points, more than anyone else in the sport this season. They have the highest points per game average. Mark Sears has been an All-American player. And if Alabama can recapture a lot of what they did a year ago, I do like their chances. I kind of like how this bracket sets up for them. I could make the case that no 2 seed has a better bracket setup. 1 seed aside with Duke. I get all that. That's a huge one. But I actually like the rest of this bracket for the Tide.
Alabama trying to get back to the Final Four. They'll have to get through Robert Morris in the first round. Maybe we'll see an upset. Maybe we'll see him cover the number easily. We'll see. We'll see about that. Coming up. Oh, yeah. The 1 seed in the Midwest. 3rd year in a row as a 1 seed. Can they finally crack through? Get back to the Final Four. We're going to break down that region next on CBS Sports HQ.
8 tips remaining to talk, and our last box to check here in our game-by-game assessment, the Midwest, where Houston is your top overall seed. 6 Final Fours for the Cougs, the most by a team without a title. But could that change in just a few weeks' time? Matt Norlander, Hakeem Dermish, Tim Doyle, and Joe Musso Here to assess all of it, and this is, again, move them over, ask questions in that next matchup. But Houston taking on SIU Edwardsville as a 28.5-point favorite. So, Tim Doyle, to that, I lob you all those points.
Yeah, I like the story with SIUE. You got Brian Baroni there. His dad was a very famous college coach for many years. It's first ever D1 bid for them. I just think it's too many points. It doesn't really matter to Houston how many they win by. So you're going to give me almost 30. I'm going to take those points.
Yeah, no, the Houston is a dominant team. SIUE, it's a cool story. They're in the tournament for the first time. That's really good stuff. But yeah, I think Houston. I would actually,
against the Cougars.
of all the one seeds here, I actually trust Houston the most by the biggest margin. They're just a machine.
All right, so it's Cougars against the Cougars, and the next round it's the Bulldogs against the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Who do you like, Gonzaga or Georgia?
All right, I'm going to take Gonzaga. I think the whole world's going to take Gonzaga here. Georgia's had a nice season. Georgia's got a player named Asa Newell. You're going to hear his name called at the NBA draft, probably in the first 10 picks later this year in June. Silas Demery is also a really nice player from Mike White's program. They've been waiting to break on through. Georgia, you know, historically as a program, doesn't have a lot of success in the NCAA tournament, even getting to the tournament. Gonzaga, why is Gonzaga this low? Well, it's lacked a resume heft, but what's fascinating about Gonzaga is it is a top 10 team across the board in predictive metrics. So this is actually, as we do this real time, I don't even know the number. How about this?
6.5.
I was going to guess the number, Doyle.
Was it 6.5?
No, I actually was going to go like 8.
Okay. All right, close.
It's
6.5.
I will take. Is the number 6.5, by the way? I will take Gonzaga to win. Ryan Nembhard leads the nation in assists. Graham Ike is an absolute beast down low. I'm actually interested to see the Newell versus Ike and if they go head-to-head. But I'll go Gonzaga here, and in the process, Gonzaga versus Houston is a top 10 KenPom game.
Whoa. Relax. They got to beat Georgia first.
They got to beat Georgia, but I'm making the pick, Tim.
Best chant at a high school game, overrated.
Really? That's the best one?
I think it is.
Let's start the buses.
Okay, is your favorite ice cream flavor?
I think Airball is an amazing one, okay? So I think Gonzaga is highly overrated. Actually, they made a massive change to their starting lineup in the WCC final game. They sat Ben Gregg, who started every game, and they started Braden Huff. The only reason I know this is because I live next door to Braden Huff. He ended up having 18 points in the championship game, and he was a star player for Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga is completely overrated. I think that they can score points. I think they're extremely suspect on defense. I think they have a hard time guarding the pick and roll. I don't want to call them soft, but I think they're soft. I have a lot of questions about Gonzaga here, and I think you're paying an absolute premium for Mark Few and the brand and the success they've had in March.
9 straight Sweet 16s for Gonzaga is the third longest streak in history, and now by getting in the 8-9 game, that's obviously in jeopardy here. If Gonzaga can keep this going, it will be phenomenal because Houston is such a beast.
I think this game should be like pick 'em. I cannot believe I'm getting 6.5 with Georgia.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. McNeese and Clemson, our next one up. I feel like, Tim, when we assess these regions from 30,000 feet, you really lean into all those 12-5s. You sort of lean towards the 12s a couple of times, teased for, but Clemson is a team, Matt, that can put the ball in the cup. They have some quality wins to their name. When you size these two up against one another, what do you see?
You know, McNeese is a quality team. I actually think this team this season a little bit of a step down from last season's team, which was a trendy pick in the first round. Couldn't get it done. Played Gonzaga, actually, if I remember correctly, last year in the first round. Clemson's really, really good, folks.
Clemson is really good. I agree with that.
Clemson is a quality team. They've got one of their guards, Dylan Hunter, is out for the year with the hand thing now. But Chase Hunter's the best player on the team. Jaden Zachary is an incredible defender as well. Ian Shefflin is he's like a vintage, really, really good college basketball player that knows the kind of play to make at the exact right time, and he's tougher than you think he is, and a really good rebounder, and he's a real load to handle. I do like this one. I really thought decently about this one. I will go with Clemson, but I'm not high on the confidence meter.
I like McNeese plus the points here. I think Clemson is playing their best basketball of the season. Obviously beat Duke during the conference season. Only a few teams could say that, but McNeese is 19-1 in their conference. They have Will Wade. They played Alabama down to the wire. They played Mississippi State down to the wire. They have an older, experienced team. I think they could easily win this game. You're going to give me 7.5 points. I will take all the points.
All right, also on Thursday in Providence, where Matt Norlander will be, High Point out of the Big South, their first NCAA tournament appearance. Nice story there, taking on Purdue. This is a lot of muscle for the Boilermakers. I don't see this being an upset. What do you see?
Well, High Point right now is a 29-5 team. big record, gaudy record. Allen Huss has done a great job. Top 25 in offensive efficiency. They shoot it from 2 and 3. They don't turn it over. If they got a player named Kessa Giffa, who's a really good senior guard. Purdue has one of the 2-3 best guards in the country in Braden Smith. A lot of people resist that because it's Braden Smith and he's a smaller white point guard. Just telling you, he's been amazing. He gets doubted because of this.
And he's got the beard.
He's an incredible player.
He looks like he's Amish.
He's awesome. He's actually only behind Nemhard at Gonzaga in assists per game average, but if you watch the games, you see how much he affects it, impacts it. They've got Trey Kaufman-Renn, who's also a really good player. A lot of people are going to see this matchup. A mid-major with a gaudy record. Purdue, they had Edey, but he's gone. Like, I've seen this team get knocked out in the first round frequently by mid-majors. I think it's actually on the table, but I will go with Purdue to get this one done, and Kaufman-Renn to absolutely eat in this one.
Yeah, if we want to talk about scoring the pill, I mean, there's few teams in the country that do it better than Kentucky. There are some holes in that arsenal. They're taking on a Troy team that just cruised through their conference tournament, Tim Doyle. 10.5, sort of in no man's land there. The blue blood laying all those points. I know. When we're offering, you're picking them up, but is this a
see where I have
team?
Kentucky going there?
Yeah, I mean, you got them rolling.
I have them going to the Final Four.
An early scare, maybe?
I'm riding the roller coaster.
Mark Pope has not coached an NCAA tournament victory yet in his career.
Lamont Butler is going to be the key for them. When he's really good, this team has 6 players averaging in double figures. They can spread the ball. They can shoot the 3. They've had some impressive wins this year. Kentucky, you let me down last year. You cannot do it again, back-to-back seasons.
Surely
do not do this to me. It's a new regime there.
You do it to yourself, and that's what really hurts. I tell you what, Kentucky hasn't won more than 3 games in a row since November.
They're in a tough conference.
I understand that. Some of that was not in the conference, though. It's a good team. They have beaten a lot of good teams this season. I may just be high on Kentucky as well, but in this game particularly, yeah, I got Kentucky moving along. I think this is a good matchup. If Lamont Butler can be particularly effective, it's not just him. Otega Owe has been a stud. I mean, I remember talking to Mark Pope as he was building out that roster, and the expectation was not that Owe would be option 1, 2, 3, or 4 in terms of most reliable on the offensive end, the Oklahoma transfer. He's been fantastic. Kentucky fans are obviously thrilled with the draw, thrilled with the seed. They got the seed because they had a ton of high-end wins. They beat 8 top 15 teams this season, and that is obviously a Kentucky program record. So I got the Wildcats moving on here, and this is for a little bit later, but I definitely got them moving on to the second week.
All right, from the team that plays in Lexington to the city of Lexington, where Utah State and UCLA are playing on Thursday. 10-7 matchup here. You got Mick Cronin, the Natalie-clad Mick Cronin. He's going to be suited and booted. Do the Bruins beat the Aggies of Utah State?
I'm going to say no. I will take Utah State in this spot. 26-7 team, and they've had a little bit of bumpiness down the stretch here, but at one point they were 19-2 overall. Jared Calhoun, first-year coach there. Top 20 offense in the country. They're really good on the interior. I think they're going to expose UCLA a little bit there. Ian Martinez, quality senior guard, knows what he's doing. UCLA is a good program. To me, they're I don't want to say they're featureless, but they don't have a real true forte that I think will carry them to the second weekend. Cronin's team is a lot better than it was last season, which is obviously a major benefit. But I'm not surprised. I agree with the seed for UCLA. I actually agree. This is where I think the seeding here, committee nailed both of it. I just happen to like Utah State in this matchup.
You give Mick time to prepare. I like UCLA on the money line. Have a hard time laying points, though.
One to look at there, certainly. We got one last one to look at. Tennessee and Wofford, 18.5, the way of the Vols. Tennessee knows how to get there. It's what they do when they're there that maybe has left us wanting more at times. But this is a pretty complete club. 18.5. How do you do it?
They're not enjoy the ride, enjoy the adventure in this game. Wofford is a team that, they're going to have the game of the lifetime. Tennessee has had some games, Matt, where they score like 44, and you're like, what was that?
Well, one of them was against Florida, which might be the best team in the tournament.
Right, and then, today, a really competitive game against Florida. Love their backcourt, love their experience, love their connectivity. I think they win this game. I mean, obviously, when you lay this many points, I feel like you're always sweating it out towards the end, but I think it's either Tennessee or bust.
That is a bracket complete. Tim Doyle, Matt Norlander, fantastic work, but the work is not done. Coming up, so much said. How about one big takeaway? Our guys look at the bracket and give you their most prevailing thought. That's next on CBS Sports HQ.